we'd have to remove 2 trillion to 20 trillion tons of CO2? What does that even mean? Well, 2 trillion tons of CO2 is equivalent to any one of the following. Annual greenhouse gas emissions from 332,302,088,000 passenger vehicles, which doesn't sound like a possible solution seeing as there are only about 300 million people in the United States. 2 trillion tons of CO2 is also equivalent to 205,944,313,280,000 gallons of gasoline consumed, or 4,219,463,720,000 barrels of oil consumed. Or maybe we could remove the CO2 emissions from the electricity use of 251,646,242,000 homes for 1 year. Oh, again, there are only about 300 million Americans. Well, 2 trillion tons of CO2 is also equivalent to the CO2 emissions from burning 9,474,514,000 rail cars worth of evil coal. Or we could just get rid of the annual CO2 emissions from only about 390,000 coal-fired power plants. This sounds like a reasonable task for a change of 1 measly Kelvin in the Earth's temperature, don't you think? Don't forget, that's the low end 2 trillion. You had to add another 0 to each of those numbers to calculate the higher end of 20 trillion. By the way, here's a fun fact from Al Gore's website, climatecrisis.net. On there they have a carbon calculator, and the national average personal impact is 7.5 tons of CO2. Interesting, mine was 13.2 tons. I guess in their religion that would make me a sinner. So how does Waxman-Markey measure up? Well, according to the Science and Public Policy Institute, if put into full force, it would reduce the global surface temperature by 45 100,000ths to 45 10,000ths of 1 degree Fahrenheit per year. And at this pace, it would only take between 400 and 4,000 years to reduce the Earth's temperature by 1 Kelvin, or 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit. Only a few thousand years? No wonder the president's in such a rush to get this thing passed. Of course, we could be optimistic and say, look, it's only going to take a little more than 222 years to reduce the temperature by 1 degree Fahrenheit under this bill. Let me sum up the environmental effects of Waxman-Markey in the best case scenario. This bill doesn't help the planet. Other problems. You mean it gets worse? Oh yes. Let's go back to the carbon credit discussion for a few minutes. The bottom line is, and Christopher Monckton phrases it best in his review of the cap and trade bill, where he says that this bill will enrich yet another army of portly middlemen trading in a new and unstable derivatives market worryingly similar to that which recently brought down the global banking system. You think you know what fraud means? Just wait until they start trading imaginary credits. This is just a little bit of the carbon credit distribution. I'll just read a few of them. 2% to oil refiners, 1% for university research into clean energy, 8% for domestic adaptation, and 8% for international adaptation, 1% for worker assistance and job training. The list goes on, and according to Christopher Monckton's analysis of Waxman-Markey, the free allowances total up to a total of 153.5%, which he comments, the bill not only repeals common sense, it also repeals the laws of arithmetic. There are also a couple of global experiments with this. England passed their global warming bill in 2008. The results? A rapidly expanding Department of Energy and Climate Change. Electricity prices are needlessly higher, working people's jobs are being destroyed, businesses are going bankrupt at record rates, and city financiers are making fortunes trading hot air on carbon permit exchanges. And let's take a look at the Japanese utility companies who are obsessively spending billions and billions of dollars on carbon offsets. The results? Absolutely no benefit to the planet whatsoever, raising the energy prices of customers, raising the prices of everything the consumers buy. In conclusion, cap and trade is a bill that intentionally inflicts financial pain on American families, crushes and exports millions of jobs every year, and murders the U.S. economy. All of this under the false notion that our efforts are going to save the Earth from man-made global warming. We're looking at out-of-control unemployment. Our already struggling economy will be crushed, and unbearable financial pain on American families. The sad part is, none of this is necessary. But currently, that's not what the politicians in Washington are telling us. So what are the next steps? H.R. 2454 is expected to be voted on in the U.S. Senate this fall. However, pay attention. Our honest and transparent politicians have a tendency to like to grab bills and vote on them when no one's looking in the dark of night. Pass this presentation on to others, please, and call your senator and tell them why they shouldn't vote for cap and trade. Thank you for watching. All the sources will appear next, and you can also find those at my website, excellenceinamerica.com. I'm Jason Bradley. Thank you for watching, and please pass this on to others.